Today's topic is inventory valuation, and this video is a continuation to my last video where we had solved the same sum but under FIFO method, and now I'm going to show you how you can solve this sum using the Lifo method. See the question given to us, it's the same. The particulars, that is the purchases, are given here and the issues are given here. The format, we can see this is the format. The format is just the same as that of the FIFO method. That is, we make four distinct columns, narrow one for date and the other three wider, one for receipt, another for issue, and the last one for balance, and three subcolumns within them, that is quantity, unit cost, and amount. Now we're going to start off with the sum. See, we're going to enter all these transactions in chronological order, that is date wise. So the first date that we have is first. See, on first the opening balance was 500 units and the price was 4. So we are going to make this entry here. First, there were no purchases, so nothing on the receipt column. Similarly, there was no issue as well, so nothing on the issue column, but the balance, because it's the opening balance, so we're going to make the entry here on the balance side. 500, unit cost was 4, so 500 into 4, that is 2000, will be entered here in the amount column. With this, we're done with the first entry. Now we're going to move to the next date. Check the date. The next date that we have is Jan 4 here in the issue column. So for simplicity purpose, I'm using red color for the issues. So this is issue Jan 4, 200 units. So let's make the entry. Jan 4, 200 units were issued, so nothing on the receipt side. On the issue side, it will be 200. Obviously, we have got only this 500 units of 4 rupees each. So we're going to take this 200 from this 500, and the unit price will be 4. Let's make the entries. 200 into 4, it will amount to 200 into 4, 800. And here, because you can see from this 500, 200 is already gone, so we are left with only 300. So we'll draw a line to distinct them, and then we're going to write the balance, that is 300 for 4 rupees, and that will amount to 3 into 4, 1200. 300 into 4. This is it. Now we're going to move to the next date, that is after 4th. See, after 4th we've got 5th. This is in the purchase column, so we are using blue color. See, purchase 5. Purchase were made for 200 units for 4.25. So on 5th, 200 units were purchased for 4.25. Now we are going to calculate it. 200 into 4.25 will amount to 850. So we'll make this entry here. There was no receipt, no issue on this date, so nothing to write here. Simply we are going to copy this down on the balance column as well. So 200 here, 4.25 price per unit, and it amounts to 850. So we are done with this date as well, that is 5th. Now we are going to move to the next date. Check the next date that we have. We have got a Jan 10, that is an issue. See, Jan 10, we have got an issue of 400 units. Let's write it here. Jan 10, no purchases, only issue of 400 units. Now we have to see from where do we get this 400. You see, we are left with the 200 of the latest lot, and over here what we are doing is Lifo. So Lifo means last in first out. So this 400 will be first taken from this 200. Since it is insufficient, you can see only 200 units. The other 200 will be taken from the previous lot. So let's split this 400 into two parts, 200 and 200. Let's do it. So I'm going to write here 200 and 200. The first 200 I'm going to take from the latest lot that we have, that is 4.25 lot. So we're going to write 4.25, and the rest 200 from the previous lot, that is 4 rupees. Now we're going to multiply Once we multiply it, 200 into 4.25, we get 850. And once we multiply 200 into 4, we get 800. So we are done with it. The issues are done. Now after the issues are done, now we have to update the balance as well. So you can see this 200 is this 200. So this is gone. The latest lot is over. And in the previous lot, 200 already gone from the previous lot. So 100 remains. So we're going to make an entry for 100 now. 100, and it will be a 4 rupees lot. You can see this only 4 rupees lot. So this amounts to 400. With this we are done with Jan 10. Now we are going to move to Jan 12. See Jan 12 here in the purchase side. So Jan 12 we made a purchase for 150 units for 4.10. So let's do it. Jan 12 we purchased 150 units for 4.10. Going to multiply 150 into 4.10, we get 615. Nothing on the issue column because nothing was issued on that date. And this will be simply copied here in the balance column as well. So let's do it. Over here, 150 per unit price or unit cost will be 4.10, and this will be amount to 615. So we are done with Jan 12. Next date is Jan 15, and it's an issue. So Jan 15, an issue of 100 units. Let's do it. Jan 50, no purchases, only issue of 100 units. Now see, latest stock we had 150, so this 100 will be taken from the latest stock 150, that which the unit cost for which is 4.10. So here we are going to write 4.10, multiply 100 into 4.10, we get 410. Now again we have to check the balances. For that, see, from this 150, 100 is already gone. So latest stock we are left with only 50, and previous stock remains intact. So 100 remains intact of the previous lot. From the recent lot, latest lot only 50 is left, 100 gone. So now we are going to make the entries. Previous lot was 4 rupees and the latest lot for 4.10. So 50 into 4.10 amounts to 205, and 100 into 4 amounts to 400. Simple. So we are done with this as well. Now we're going to move to the next date. After Jan 15, we have got Jan 19. See, 100 units more were issued. So Jan 19, no purchases. 100 more were issued. Now you can see 100 will be, as we are following Lifo method, so 100 will be taken away from the latest lot that we have, that is 50, and the remaining 50 from the previous lot. So we're going to split this 100 into two parts, 50 and 50. So let's do it. Split it into two parts, 50 and 50. The first 50 we are going to take up the latest lot, that is 4.10. So we'll make the entry 4.10, and after this the rest 50 will be taken from the previous lot of 4 rupees. Now we are going to multiply 50 into 4.10, it amounts to 205, and 50 into 4 amounts to 200. Now see, with this is gone, the latest stock is over, and from this 100, 50 is gone, only 50 remains. So let's make the entry. 50 remains for 4 rupees, which amounts to 200. 50 into 4. So we are done with this date as well. 19th. Now we are going to move to the next date. See, in the question we've got the next date, that is Jan 20. You can see for purchase Jan 20. Purchase is for 300 units for 4.50. So this will be our next entry. Jan 20. Let's make the entry Jan 20. There were purchases, right? So purchases were for 300 units and the price was 4.50 as stated in the question. So 300 into 4.50, it amounts to 1350. There were no issues made on the date, so nothing to write here. And in the balance column, we're going to simply copy this down. 300, 4.50 and 1350. So latest stock, we are left with 300 more units for 4.50 unit cost, and which amounts to 1350. So we are done with Jan 20. Now let's move to the next date. We've got Jan 25. There was further purchase for 400 units for 4 rupees. So on 25, we made a purchase, and purchase was for how many units? 400 units for 4 rupees. So 400 units for 4 rupees. It amounts to 400 into 4, 1600. Nothing was purchased, nothing was issued, so nothing in this column. And we're going to simply copy this 400 over here for 4 rupees balance column, and which amounts to 1600. So as of now we are left with 3 different lots: 50, 300 and 400. Now we are going to move to the next question, the next part of the question, that is the next date. We are done with the purchases. Now we are left only with the issues. See, we have got Jan 26, the next issue for 200 units. So let's do it. Jan 26, the next date, and it was for 200 units issue, nothing on the purchase side, only issue for 200 units. So see, this 200 will be taken from the recent lot that we have of 400. So it will be the unit cost will be 4. So 200 into 4, it will be 800. Now we're going to find the balances. See, the first two lot remains as it is, and this 200 is taken from the recent lot of 400. So let's make the entries first. See, first two lots remain intact, that is 50 units for 4, that amounts to 200, and next 300 for 4.50, which amounts to 1350, and finally this 400, from here this 200 is gone, so 200 remains. So 200 for 4 rupees, which amounts to 800. 200 into 4. So we are done with Jan 26. Now we are going to move to the next date, that is Jan 30. See, Jan 30, further issue of 250 units. So Jan 30, let's make the entry. No purchases, there was only issue, and issue was made for 250 units. So we're going to write 250 here. See, this 250, 200 will be taken from the latest stock of 4 rupees and the rest 50 from the previous lot of 4.50. So let's do it. Split 200 into two parts, 200 and then 50. So let's do it. First the 200 and lastly the 50. So 200 will be taken from the recent lot of 4 rupees, and 300, and this 50 will be taken from this 300 lot, which where the unit cost is 4.50. So we are going to write 4.50 here. Simply multiply 200 into 4 amounts to 800, and 50 into 4.50 multiply 50 into 4.5 will amount to 225. Now we are going to find the balances as we are done with it. This will be the final balance. See, this 200, the recent lot is gone completely. So we don't have to write this. From this lot, this 50 gone. So we are left with 250 here, and this remains intact. So let's write it down here in the balances. The 50 upon 4 rupee remain intact. That is the first lot that we had. So this remains intact, and from this 300, 50 is gone. So 250 remains. Now 250 remains for 4.50 lot, and 50 remains for 4 rupees. 50 into 4 amounts to 200, and 250 into 4.5 amounts to 1125. Therefore, we can say that inventory valuation as per FIFO will be 50 units for 4 rupees and 250 units for 4.50. So we're going to write it here. Therefore, inventory valuation under FIFO method equals to, there will be 2. 50 for 4 rupee, so 50 into 4, and 250 into 4.5. So this amounts to 200, and the latest amounts to 1125. So this will be my total stock.